Bears are out in Keystone and Dillon. In Aspen, a man gets mauled in his home. Phil Lindeman, Krystal, 93 News. First, Breckenridge yesterday announced an 11 p.m. restaurant curfew, effective immediately and indefinitely. The county supports a similar county-wide rule, and other local towns will likely follow suit sometime next week. Breck Mayor Eric Mamula explains exactly how this will help curb the spread of COVID.
There are a handful of places in town that after restaurants close, a lot of restaurant staff like to go hang out in those places, and the laws seem to drift away, and we are afraid that if there will be a crisis, a health crisis for Breck, it will be those employees that are gathered at one place that then go back to their respective businesses and spread the virus.
County Public Health Director Amy Wineland agrees.
Once that late night hits, what we're tending to see is that mingling does happen and people let their guard down a little bit as far as maintaining that social distancing and preventing the spread of the illness.
Breck this week also introduced a mandatory mask zone downtown, indoor and outdoor, from Park Avenue to the Breck Connect gondola. Masks are already required inside, countywide. An Aspen man was mauled by a bear in his home early this morning. The Aspen Times reports the man suffered serious injuries to his face and neck when the bear swiped him with a paw. His injuries are not life-threatening. Wildlife officials have euthanized the animal. So where will you find bears in Summit? Gail Marshall with the CPW's Bear Aware program.
We have a few that are getting in trouble over in the Keystone and Dillon Valley area.
Most of these local bears are yearlings that have recently grown large enough to leave their mothers and set out on their own.
There was one yearling sitting on somebody's front deck, eating their trash, having a lovely time mid-afternoon. So you can't really leave your garbage out like that.
You will see bears out March to November, with an uptick in August and September. And when they get into trash, the problem is bigger than a messy yard.
We don't want them to become habituated towards garbage. Once bears figure out that's a place to get food, they'll come back for the next 20 years.
That includes bird feeders. Marshall recommends pulling feeders inside at night and leaving them up only when you are outside at the same time. Hundreds of Eagle County locals, including mayors and State Senator Kerry Donovan, are asking the U.S. Forest Service to reconsider a new dam and reservoir on Homestake Creek south of Vail.
They have the right to develop 20,000 acre feet of that water and take it across the Continental Divide into the Arkansas River and ultimately to the lawns of Aurora and Colorado Springs.
That was Eagle Vail freelancer David O. Williams of RealVail.com reporting for Aspen Journalism. That project starts with drilling to see if bedrock there can support a reservoir.
You're talking about driving drilling rigs through Homestake Creek, using Homestake Creek water in the drilling process, and high decibels is for, a couple of months.
A spokesperson for the water rights holder tells Williams this preliminary work does not guarantee a reservoir, which would be the second in the area, and history there runs deep to another failed proposal in the 80s.
That went all the way to the Colorado Supreme Court. Eagle County won, and Homestake 2 was shot down.
Since then, they have cozied up to local stakeholders, including Vail Resorts. This dam, upstream from the Eagle River, could benefit snowmaking.
Aurora and Colorado Springs say, look, we own these rights and we're going to develop them one way or the other.
Along with more than 500 residents, the mayors of Minturn and Red Cliff and Senator Donovan are putting the Forest Service in the hot seat.
Yeah, they're already running out of time. You get to a point where the snow is going to start to fly.
Williams believes this project is still years in the making, if it happens. There is a civil rights hero who called Breckenridge home, and not many Coloradans know his name.
He was born into slavery. He's one of the founders of our state, and how he got to that point is pretty remarkable. He was so influential in the civil rights movement during his time. It's amazing to understand how he came from where he began to where he wound up later on in life.
Who is he? Tauna Lockhart with Krystal 93 News tells us more about the man who fought for civil rights from right here in Breck and the museum where you can learn about his life. Listen this weekend on Krystal 93. Local fire danger rose to very high yesterday, the first time this summer, with low humidity and little chance of moisture in coming days. Stage 1 restrictions remain in place here and across the White River National Forest. Backyard fires are allowed with a permit, and campfires are allowed only in a fire ring at developed campgrounds. And in local sports, brought to you by American Family Insurance, the Weiss Agency, Race 1 of the virtual Summit Trail Running Series ended at sundown yesterday, where Morgan Elliott was fastest man and overall winner. Ava Hagen won the women's race. Next virtual race in the series opens July 22nd at French Gulch. Phil Lindemann, Krystal, 93 News.